in terms of where we are with the hub, it's been non-stop from our side this past 2 or 3 months. It's just been continuous. What we're seeing in terms of our referral numbers are getting higher and higher every month. And we are going to, I think this month we're going to surpass 100. 100 referrals, that is. So for the past 3 months, I've highlighted on terms of the numbers, the number of approaches where we are. And like I said, it just keeps getting busier and busier. So from August, we had 72. September, we had 84. Last month, we had 94. And then I've just checked before we come in, and we're kind of at the same number now, and we've still got enough another week or so to go. So I think we're going to surpass 100 referrals this month. But today, this is where we're currently at. So the implementation of Crit Care, NHS Trust, Social Care, Primary Care, and Emergency Services. As you can see, it was up and down, and these are all to do with different peaks. But people and staff members are coming out of coming out of COVID regulations now, and actually understanding where they are and reaching out for the help and getting the support that they need, which is great to see. But there's also a lot of work for us to do for all the organisations that we need to interlink with as well. And trying to fit all this in one page is getting a lot heavier than it used to be, because again, this is due to referrals. So in terms of numbers, we don't give anything under 5 because we can, it's personal identifiable, like it kind of breaches confidentiality in a sense. But the highest number we have on there is Liverpool University. However, it's messed up a little bit because Merseycare is on the Merseycare. Yeah, so what it's done, it's done one, miss one, done one, miss one, done one. So Merseycare is actually 77 for your information, Ben. But I will send the updated version, so it's got everything in on the actual minutes and whatnot. So this is where we're currently at in terms of numbers and number of approaches. And as you can see, Liverpool University hospitals were ahead in terms of the number game. I will send all the information, and I'll make sure it's all on one slide, but it's trying to fit it all on, so I might just break it down to a few slides. But that's from creation to October, so in terms of a cumulative approach. In terms of organised by employer for a monthly basis, these are the referrals that we had for last month. Again, anything under 5 we don't share purely because confidentiality reasons. So we have Liverpool University Hospitals with 20, Merseycare with 12, Mid Cheshire Hospitals with 9, Countess of Chester 8, Clatterbridge Cancer Centre 5, and then St Helens and Knowsley on 5 as well. As we go further, we've looked into this in terms of job role. There are some aspects on here where people have not put the job role, they've skipped past this question, and because it's not a mandatory question on our referral form, we pulled the information that we have. So we have 36 nurses, 16 trainee or qualified allied healthcare professionals, and then we've got healthcare assistants with 12, qualified trainee or doctor or a consultant, which is 9, non-clinical support role, that could be domestic, administrator, chef type of role, which is 8, and then other is 5. Now other actually branches into a lot of stuff because we started doing health charities such as hospices. So we have that sort of stuff. We need to change up. We are in the process of changing our referral form, the way it works and the way we get our information. So we have to just put it as other for now. And as we go further in terms of where we currently are, from referral to where things have gone, where people have gone to. So we've had 25 nurses and midwives come through, 9 doctors and consultants, 3 managerial or leaders, 70 non-clinical roles, so this could be admin-based roles, and then other, we've had 33. We have done this month 2 quick care interventions, and we've also had 9 pathway support, so these are inclusive of the IAPTOS referral. So when people have come through, it's not just one issue, it could be a multitude of issues that we've looked at, and then we've linked it with the non-clinical side of the hub as well. So as I mentioned at the start of the meeting, the October itself has been a really busy month for us. in terms of outreach, we've dedicated the whole month of November to majority of social care environments, and we're from here we've spoke with 823 people. Now that in the grand scheme of things, that's our current number where we're currently at on a monthly basis, around 800, 900 people a month. So it's trying to convert them into referrals, if that makes sense. We get a lot of people taking the information and reading at their own pace, or going away and reading further into it and then deciding what they want. But overall, we've engaged with over 823 people. That's just October alone. We had 34 workshop attendees, but we had to cancel one workshop due to tech issues. And fingers and toes crossed that the rain calms down, purely because I know our internet will go off. So if I do, I will be back. But yeah, in terms of numbers, we've had 13 people at our wellbeing events, and then also the 9 pastoral support referrals, and there's also a spelling mistake there. So that's essentially where we're currently at as the hub, the numbers, and what we're doing in terms of some of the things that we're understanding. The themes that we're coming through at the moment are still a lot of the same themes that we're experiencing across, and the same for you guys as partners at the same time. But some of the bigger outcomes is that of setting personal boundaries. Now, I wanted to reach out to you guys as partners just to understand what you guys are experiencing, any sort of themes, any new themes, or any reoccurring themes that you've got currently happening. Does anybody want to start? Silence. I'll pick on someone. Sophie, over at Mid Cheshire, what are the things that you guys are currently experiencing? I'll come on. Oh, go on then, Jane. I'll come to you.
I don't mind. Okay. So nothing new really, Lee. So I think staffing issues, morale is low. We've now obviously got the RCN ballot. So we are looking at strike action for RCN, and all the other unions' ballots close over the next week or so. So cost of living is a big issue. So yeah, nothing new, just kind of the normal stuff, really.
Okay, no worries. How is the balloting aspect gone down with your organisation?
Well, the RCN have been really quiet. To be honest, we haven't. I don't think any trusts have. They've just kind of said this is the result of the ballot, and we'll be in touch in due course, because they only need to give us 2 weeks notice of the dates. I think that's probably what most organisations have had. I think some organisations where we haven't got a local RCN rep. I think in trusts where or organisations where you might know a little bit more. We're working as a system to make sure we're consistent in terms of what we're doing. So yeah, it's just, I mean, as an organisation, we will support staff because they have the right to go on strike, and we will do what we can to support it. It's just the planning that goes behind it, because we will need to reduce activity. There's no doubt about that. We can't run, at the levels that we're running at the moment. If we have that number of staff, it's the unknown. Be like everyone else, you don't know what's going to happen on the day, really, and how many people. So it's just doing as much as of that planning and making sure your continuity plans are in place, etc. So, but yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Jane. I'm just making notes as we go along as well, because there might be someone I could reach out to you, or Judith might want to reach out to you at the same time from the Northwest team. Ben, I'll come to you. You've got your hand up.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Jane. I think Jane makes a really good point there in terms of the RCN and where we are in terms of strike action. And I just wonder, for a limited period of time, is it worth bringing in somebody here as a regional staff side rep or member just to talk about what else is going on there. I just think it's another mechanism to feed into this group. We could be doing some proactive work in that space in the event that they're bringing additional intelligence to this. But I just think while it's so kind of topical at the moment, that might be a good idea. And or it's important for them to be kind of linked into the type of work that we're doing as this network anyway. Jane, in addition to what Jane said, it is business as usual. What I've seen certainly is an increase in the amount of staff that are requesting additional health and wellbeing intervention that falls out of our core offer. So to give you a bit of an idea, we had around 1,000 staff count throughout. Was it October? It was October, asking for additional support. The majority of which is because I'm going to say it was around fatigue, burnout, predominantly for our kind of more broader and heavier working groups, if you like. So our district nurses, they're kind of the backbone, if you like, of community services. We know they're on their knees. So it was just around general support for them in terms of their health and well-being. But ultimately as well, we've got a lot of other services, specialist services that are coming to us because they're going through a lot of organisational change. And I think what we've done is we've come out of one situation, be it COVID. There hasn't been much time to recover in terms of how people get back to kind of the normal work and practice and business as usual. But before you know it, we've kind of recognised as an organisation that there can be savings made or efficiencies in the way that we structure teams, etc. And there's been a lot of investment now in how we start to move very rapidly into a new way of working, be it structures, buildings, etc. So there's been a lot of requests around how we support staff through change. I'm not sure if anyone else has had any similar requests.
Yeah, I think just for the hub itself, we've had an influx of requests for say non-clinical support as well, and we're looking into this, and it's that sort of thing, like the finance, the cost of living aspects at the same time. Everything's having a knock-on effect and all rolling into one. I think with what you were saying about the RCN, I was actually meant to have a partner come to the meeting today. I attended an outreach session yesterday, and they seemed very keen, but they've just give apologies before the meeting. But that is something I can definitely link into, and I can also link with Jude as well in terms of the support the support stream that's there, as well as the offer. If we can help any further. In terms of the mergers, would we say, in terms of say COVID and everything else happening, how is Merseycare coping with the requests?
I'd be lying if I said it was brilliant. But I think most of us would be lying if we said it was brilliant at the moment. There's business cases and more business cases going into resources. I'm going to say more kind of effectively, if you like. I've got 3 staff, 2 started this week in terms of health and wellbeing facilitators, 1 more next month. We've just had a business case sign off for another CBT therapist, another counsellor. So we are getting the investment from the trust to be able to support the demand. But I think there's something a little bit more grassrooted here, and we kind of, I use the phrase a lot, we plaster on the hemorrhage. I think sometimes it's about doing that real grassroots work to understand what the root of the cause is, and offer the intervention as a preventative approach as opposed to a reactive. And that's where we're trying to get. With that, I think the difficulties at the moment is there's operational pressures, winter pressures, coming out of COVID, going through change. There's I'm not going to say a reluctance to release staff to attend some of these things. I think managers are behind it. I don't think staff give themselves permission to attend some of these things. I'm going to say there's a lot of martyr mode that we see within the organisation. I'm going to say across nursing, knowing what I do from kind of some of the national work and the likes of. So I think there's a bit of a cultural shift that's needed in order to kind of really make sure that staff can access what's on offer. But ultimately as well, it's the recognition that the offer that we used to have will no longer cut the mustard, and we need to do something very differently.
No, absolutely agree with you, Ben. It's really insightful that you talk about mortarboard, because I've just done a presentation, a podcast with Amy Bebbington from Wirral about setting personal boundaries, and that very much what the topic consisted of. It's about giving yourself permission to allow yourself to get involved in this. Amy was going to come and speak, deliver some information on this, but she's now moved roles into a different role. So I will get that information, but I'll send it out to you as well, because it's really insightful for you. Thanks, Ben. I appreciate that. Boo, you've got your hand up.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. Yeah, just reflecting from an ICB point of view. Again, I don't know whether that's something in terms of whether you've had any referrals in from anybody from the ICB, but obviously there's 9 CCGs have all merged, and we're just going through we just finished the structural consultation period. They just fed back yesterday, and just picking up from the sort of the threads in the question and answers on the call yesterday. There's not a lot of huge amount of uncertainty in terms of where people are going to sit in the new structure. So I'm just curious really to know whether obviously the Resilience Hub is promoted through the ICB, but whether we're actually getting any referrals in, because it just seemed yesterday that there was an awful lot of individuals that were struggling at the moment.
Yes.
You know,
So
you combine COVID, you combine new organisation, cost of living, and people not knowing but what structure, what jobs they're going to be popped into even before Christmas is causing such a huge amount of anxiety. From what I could see.
From that meeting from the PCN day that I attended last week, we had 8 referrals come from that day. We've asked specifically, can we have the data? So we've got a new data analyst who's joined us within the hub, Morty. We've asked, can we break it down in terms of like ICB region as well? So we do have some stuff coming through from Primary Care in terms of just looking at South Sefton here. So yeah, we've had 8 in terms of that, but then trying to break it down into the C&M region.
Yeah, it was more to do with the former CCGs.
Yeah.
And I know it's great because, you know, obviously raising awareness in terms of primary care, that's great, and I could see those 9 from South Sefton, and I'm sure some more will come through from Southport and Formby. But it was more about whether you'd had any kind of specific CCG individuals or former CCG individuals come through. Because if not, I'll probably speak to the OD lead and say that we need to promote the hub a little bit better. Because I was just a bit gobsmacked yesterday, you know, hundreds of people liking comments around, you know, this is so disheartening, we're all really demotivated, and we're all, you know, not knowing what you're going to be doing and whether you're going to be doing a role that you know, where are you going to be slotted in? Are you going to be slotted in? Have you got a role? All those questions are still, everyone's going through that. I appreciate Ben Merseycare's going probably through a similar thing, but yeah, I can see how unsettling it is.
I'm just pulling the data up, you see. So in terms of CCGs, we've had 2 referrals come in, and that's through 2 different CCGs. There's not much more information in terms of where they've come from, so I can't delve deeper because we haven't got a filter on it, you see. But this is why it's not on the actual thing, because it's below 5 and we don't share the information below 5. But if this is something I can help with, as well as promotion, going over to around or linking in with different people and meetings to promote the hub, that sort of stuff, I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah, I think I'll put you in touch with Tara, the new OD lead.
Yeah,
okay.
I've been linking with I forgot her name now.
Jill leaves today. Jill Fazey leaves today.
Okay. The retention lead, I can't remember who it is. I met
Chris
her.
Samosa?
No. I attended a meeting the other week, and it was the Cheshire and Merseyside retention lead.
Is it Julie Barrett?
That's the one, Julie, yeah. And from what you're saying, we got a really good uptake at that meeting, so I'm really surprised just to see the one referral come through. But this is also our data side as well. We need to be looking at our data to include the ICB as a whole instead of just separate entities. But I'm more than happy to interlink with people about this, because it's...
Yeah, there's a new wellbeing lead, actually. It might be Julie. I'll find out who it is.
But I just spoke to Jill this week, but I think she's called Suzanne.
Oh, that's right. She's called Suzanne.
January, is she?
Oh, she doesn't start until January. Okay. Well, then maybe it's Tara then.
Yeah, I think it's Tara.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I'm more than happy to link in.
Mhm.
I know because we picked this up at the last meeting, but Morty didn't start until a few weeks ago. So getting all the data sets,
Yeah.
getting everything aligned. But this is something on our list going forward. But yeah, from attending meetings like the PCN day itself to
Mm.
actually attending
Right,
meetings, say
amazing.
with Julie Barrett, we've had a really good uptake in terms of referrals coming into the hub. And I spent time talking to people about certain issues that they're facing, and it was really insightful seeing it from different perspectives. So I think from that, what I'll do is I'll link in with you after the meeting, because I'm more than happy to get involved with promotion, going to different places, attending meetings, presenting, as long as I can get the word out. And we've got a few new assistant psychologists who are starting with the hub. So I'll be able to bring these and do basic listening rooms, basic listening room type of events where we can actually have someone clinical on site to listen, to understand different risks and that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, brilliant.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Lee.
Thanks, Booth. I'll just make a note of
Just
this.
general low morale, worrying
Yeah.
about finances, the whole everything. Yeah.
I think this is it, isn't it? It's one of the bigger factors, finances as well as just general work life. There's a lot of change mode happening, and it's just doing and not understanding. Sophie, I'll come to you. You've got your hand up.
Sorry, my mic wasn't working before. I wasn't ignoring you.
Okay. It's
I
okay.
suppose I suppose ours is mainly the cost of living still, but something that's come up recently, which I found quite interesting, is we've been asked to kind of look at specific financial support for those living with disabilities and long-term conditions. I suppose this might be linked to Disability History Month, which is coming up. But obviously they face a lot of sort of different issues facing the cost of living, and they're a lot worse hit. And that's kind of something that we as a team have been quite stuck with resource wise to really know what to signpost to. So yeah, just thought that was quite interesting. I would be interested to know if anyone else has had that and what they're doing.
I have a meeting with Step Change next week. And they're predominantly focusing obviously around debt, but the biggest factor is at the moment is the cost of living. Now, I've explained to Step Change that we're, let's say, a representative organisation, and we have partners who have experienced different things. So this will be a topic that I pick up for you. If I
Okay.
get any information, I'll send it to the group anyway. But then I'll send it to you just so you have it as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because I'm trying to tap up bases. Like I know Ben, for example, they've got a contract with the CAB in terms of offering specific tailored appointments. So that's not something I want to start doing, because then it starts stepping on Ben's toes. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on around the patch, who's doing what. So then, like we recently did a session with the Money and Pension Service with James Kelly, and also St Helens and Knowsley did it as well. So that was during Talk Money Week. So it's trying to find the offers instead of just specific service. This is how we can help with benefits, that sort of stuff. It's actually understanding the packages of support that's available as well.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
Ben, do you want to come in on that? Or is it a different
Just
question?
really quickly, I suppose I was going to say, Lee, please don't worry about stepping on our toes. If there's something that you can pay for and we can do it differently, then great. And I'm a great believer of that. What I don't want to happen is regional staff to suffer just because there's already something going on.
Yeah.
You know, there could be conversations there. If staff do want it for their trusts, you know, do you get in touch with me? Do we look at how we can do a bit of a different service level agreement with the CAB
Yeah.
to include other people? What I'd say is let's not touch it just because someone's already doing it. It's
Yeah.
about how we can make sure this offer is accessible to everybody. So
No,
if
totally
anyone
get
wants
you.
to have them conversations, all right.
Yeah, absolutely. So just online with that, I'm actually going to be running a partnership scoping exercise, because as we go forward, just to understand what organisations are currently doing, what they have in place. So I don't want to start replicating as the hub. Instead of, if you guys have got a yoga session on, then we don't need to do that. We can look at something else. We could put the money elsewhere, if that makes sense. So this will be landing in your inboxes when I've designed it, but I need to work with the clinician to get the sign off for it. But I won't touch on that yet. I'll come to Jude, because I know Jude had a hand up as a response.
So yeah, it was just in relation to what Sophie was saying. So I attended twice, kind of it's for the system device, but it's like a monthly kind of data update session. And on there, very much showing October and November, Sophie, they were saying that the people that come for the support most are those with a disability, and their numbers are really kind of ramping up. And also second in line that is single parents when we're looking at the cost of living. They're the two main groups that always are needing system device support more than others. But one of the start things they kind of said, which just stuck with me, was that increasingly they are struggling to find the right pathway to go to help to support people because they're running out of their options that they have, which is just really stark listening to that from Citizen Divine. We're also, just to let you know, on the 29th, so next Wednesday, as a Northwest team, we're putting on a bit of a city cost of living exchange. I know Ben knows about it, Lee knows about it, but that's for all of the three systems to come together to kind of share across the board what people are doing around cost of living, what's working, what's maybe not working, some of the barriers, and understand is there more we can do. Just grabbing everybody's heads together and kind of sharing as much as we possibly can. And then the way we're doing it is to be able to capture all of that. So it's per system, so people can see what the other organisation in their system are doing, but also we can share that across each system so we can share. So that's next Wednesday at 3 o'clock. And if you want an invite to that, just pop your email in the chat and I'll make sure you get one of those.
Well, thanks, Jude. But you had your hand up, but I've also just noticed in the chat that you mentioned Jill Faze's dinner scoping exercise. Was this for this year?
Yeah, it was just linked to what the ICB places were doing, so the former CCGs. I've
Yeah.
probably got a copy of it somewhere, so it might be relevant. We were looking at what we were doing across the different places and what could be done potentially, what could be shared across the ICB. It might be
Perfect.
useful if you're looking at a scoping rather than try to repeat it.
Yeah, we've reinvented
obviously
the wheel.
trusts are different, but it was something that we used to do, didn't we, in the other group?
Perfect. I will happily look into that because it's also like the formation of this meeting. Because some people it doesn't work, some people it does work. So it's also asking about our support, our intervention as the hub, what we can be doing to help. And like we've discussed previously about merging different types of meetings, having the ICB lead on it, and then having people update sort of stuff as well. So it's also trying to make use of your time as leads. Jane Crouch, I'm going to come to you from a policing perspective. We've had a few referrals in terms of police this month from Cheshire and also Merseyside, your counterparts too. Is there any specific themes that you guys are currently facing or experiencing?
Only exactly what everyone else has talked about, really. Cost of living crisis and sort of overworked and things like that, staffing levels.
Okay,
Um, yeah, so yeah, the same thing. And we've put like a webinar. We hired someone to do like a webinar on finances to try and address it, and we just put sort of like all our support on like the intranet and sort of sharing it as much as we can for people. And then with Christmas coming up, we did like a crisis at Christmas poster with just all the information on sort of counselling support and financial support and that kind of thing that everyone sort of can see as they're walking around.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks. That's quite insightful. Will you do me a favour? Will you send me over your crisis at Christmas poster?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so we do sort of
Just
like
so
a
I can
bit
have
of internal support and then also external companies
yeah.
and organisations that we signpost to as well.
Well, I appreciate that because I was on the OK bus recently and I was working with linking with Faye. And I can't remember what worth. She's from the finance organizer.
Yeah,
Finance
Police
that support
Mutual.
police. That's the one. And she was saying about all this sort of stuff. So it'd be good just to understand what's currently happening in the forces as well. trying to tap into, say, the fire and also ambulance, just to
Yeah.
understand the sort of stuff as well, so I could tie it in as well together.
Yeah, that sounds
Brill.
good.
Jane,
I'll send it.
Jane, I find your job really interesting because I don't know much about kinds of other emergency services, and I don't know whether it'd be helpful one day maybe just to have a bit of an intro around what the structures look like to support other emergency services. They just could be learning that we could take here, and I just think we're missing a trick if we're not having them conversations. I don't know if it's to do on this call or whether it's something else that we need to look at.
Sounds like a good idea.
What I can do is I can bring it into this meeting, so we could have the police present, and I could also get Lawrence from the fire to come and present just about the level of support, if that would be helpful to you guys.
You know what? I think because we predominantly started off with NHS with
Yeah.
the hub, I think now it's been extended. It would be really helpful for us to understand how it lands within other. I'm not going to say sectors, industries. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, no,
It
no,
might be a very
totally.
different approach, and we might be missing a trick, or we can help each other out there.
Yeah.
I think there's also it's also social care as well, because it's really insightful from doing outreach, say at a fire station or a police station, to go into, say, a dom care facility or a nursing home,
Totally.
to understand their level of well-being. So I'll set that for the January meeting then, and I'll give people enough time, and I'll drop people the right people emails and get them just to come in and give it as an insight as to the health and well-being
Yeah.
support streams.
I suppose it's simple things
Brill.
like, do they have their own occupational health services? Is that outsourced? And kind of, I don't know, do they have, how many staff is there per 100, 200 staff? Is there a wellbeing coordinator? Does it sit under HR? I'd just be dead interested to understand how it's championed, I suppose, within these different services.
I can definitely let you know that kind of thing for us anyway.
Mega.
You just volunteered yourself there.
That's okay, I don't mind.
Brill. So yeah, I'll set that for the January meeting. And it'll be really insightful as well. The next meeting is in December, but it falls relatively close to Christmas, so I'm not too sure whether people will be here or not. But do you want me, I've got it also written down here, Ben, about having some RCN involvement.
Brill.
Do you want me to try and get them for the next meeting for you? Or do you want to do that via email?
If they can. If they can,
Yeah.
I suppose it was just making sure that they were involved in some of the conversations. There's a lot of brilliant intelligence within these calls, and I just think,
Yeah.
We speak and I learn from everybody else, and hopefully vice versa. I just think it's important for our regionals to be linked in to some of these conversations as well.
Yeah, perfect. That's not a problem. I'll get in touch with the right people, and then hopefully we'll have a packed agenda for the next two meetings. Jane, is that an old hand or is it a new hand?
No, a couple of things, but just coming back to that point about the RCN, you're probably best speaking to Chris Samosely. I'm not sure the RCN particularly would be able to come, just because politically where they are with their action, but it might be someone from the SPF via Chris would be able to come. So yeah, I'd probably make sure she's cited on that really.
What's
Chris,
the SPS?
Social partnership.
Social
Forum.
Partnership Forum. So it's all of the trade unions. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. That's fine.
Call, Jane.
What the point I was going to make was I'll share it with you, Lee, just on the back of what Jane said about it. It's not a Christmas crisis poster, but about 12 months ago, we did some work with social care around wellbeing on a page. So it may well need updating, if I'm being honest, but I'll send you it just so you can see that as well, because we kind of, between us, collated everything we knew about, and some of the voluntary sector were involved as well. So you can have that, and we can maybe do something with that, but I'll let you see it anyway.
Yeah, I'm also gonna tap in Judith here, because Judith's doing a bit of a family tree around like wellbeing stuff, which would be really insightful once it's complete to send out. Is that okay, Judith?
Yeah, so it's this wellbeing family is kind of linked with the kind of growing OH strategy work and the holistic wellbeing work that Karen, my line manager, is working with HRD network, and it's the basic gist of it is basically that we know there's a lot of resources, whether voluntary or paid, within an organisation that touches on working to improve the experience and health and wellbeing of people in work in an organisation. And it's to try and just kind of bring that all together and capture all that and show how they can all work together and interlink to support everybody in an organisation. Because sometimes people potentially do things very sporadically and not together, but actually there's a realm of good insight and data that will be in people's heads from champions, Freedom Speak Up guardians, you know, the health and wellbeing leads in an organisation. Actually using all that information data can really help set a strategy moving forward of actually what is it that could solve the root causes of some of these issues. So that's kind of the ilk. I'm happy I'm going to share it by the end of the week with a number of people. So, you know, again, put it in the chat box if you'd like to see it, because I just welcome everyone's thoughts, because you're in an organisation, I'm not. And I want to make sure it's right and a usable resource for everybody. So please, nothing's a criticism. It's all taken on good faith to get it right.
Let's get the red pens out there.
Yeah,
No, I
and a
promise I
couple of
won't. I
green
won't be
ticks.
that bad. Absolutely. Positive reinforcement. Brill. Thanks, Judith. I just thought because Jay mentioned there about the like wellbeing on a page type of thing, and also Jay mentioned the Christmas crisis poster. I thought it might be good just for an insight from that. Is there anybody else who'd like to raise any themes, talk about issues they're facing within their organisation? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I've got
Okay,
a
Brill.
Go
on.
Sorry, I forgot to put my hand up. Sorry. And you don't know this, Lee, and so does Ben, but I'm producing with a bit of funding some kind of concertina style credit card size cards for our primary care colleagues, just to enhance build awareness around the health and wellbeing offers. And for Cheshire and Merseyside, I'm struggling to get and this is for primary care, so I'm just putting it out there because I'm hoping there's some help to get kind of the QR code and branding for any websites that are for primary care health and wellbeing support. I've got them for the other areas. It's just for Cheshire and Merseyside. I don't know whether anybody is linked in or can help. I've had a conversation with Keely, that Ben you kind of directed me to.
MIA, yeah.
Yeah, but there doesn't seem. I had a Alex Schofield, but he's kind of primary care or communications, but for external. So gave me the link to the external website. But I'm wanting an internal staff, primary care staff website, if there is such a thing. In Cheshire Merseyside.
The issue with that is that I tried doing something similar, was because primary care is so different in terms of, say, dentists, pharmacists, everything else that come within that aspect. They all have different internal systems. So trying to link in with one, you then get hit with a wall with another. What I'll do is I'll pass you the comms link that I have for Cheshire and Merseyside, and it might be useful going through the comms because they might have something generic that they send out, if that makes sense.
Because I've got Alex.
NHS England probably, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, for the other two, I seem to have managed to get something, but it's this particular one. But I don't know. I mean, I know Keely's done quite a massive piece, hasn't she? And she's got a number of links and stuff. And it may be that I actually do something that puts it to her document that gives literally it just goes through all support available. So it might be that I go with that because it's the easiest thing. I've just wanted to put it out there to see if anybody knew anything while I've got a few captured.
But I think it's a really good idea. So at the moment we're having not a similar issue, but we're looking at the size of our trust, and the size of our trust, we literally cover Cheshire and Merseyside. So what used to be appropriate for staff who kind of, if the services were just based in Sefton, we could offer things like active workforce and all kind of gyms would be discounted and what have you. But now I'm having to negotiate with every single council or borough in order to get that because of the size and scale of the services. I'm also doing some work now in the space of pantries around where people pay a kind of a reduced fee £3.50, and you
Yeah.
can get anything up to a value of about £24 for food. But I need to plot it out against this whole footprint as opposed to just, you know, it just used to be Merseyside. So as a system, we could really do with something that kind of says, look, if you're from Sefton, this is your area. If you're from Liverpool, this is kind of what your provision is. If you're from Wigan, this is what it looks like. If you're from Clitheroe, because we go up to there, but this is the same offer. And we could just choose 5 things within each of these areas that kind of says, this is what you kind of it looks like within, you know, your kind of geographical footprint. But I'm with you, Jude. There's no one that's already got that information at hand, or certainly that's coming willingly with it.
Yeah.
Ben, is it worth starting a working group, bringing a few people around the table? Because I'm more than happy to help and also utilize a bit of design skills for this. But I also live around the corner from Clitheroe, so I can also, you could like have specific patches if that makes sense. So I'm more than happy
I'm in.
to dig in if it's like getting the right people around the table, though, isn't it? So like
It will, but
councils.
it'll serve us all. I think even if you kind of, you know, your staff don't work within them areas, they might commute. You know, there's a lot of people now that are kind of at home working, and they don't, you know, do the daily commute anymore, so they live further afield. The likes of, so I think it would serve everybody's purpose. I'm definitely in if there's a working group going on, and if it's not me, I'll send Dan on my behalf.
Okay, Brill. I'll pick that up the outside then, because I think it'd be really insightful, just because it's also the contacts you make along the way, like you were just saying there about someone in the C&M region for PCNs type of thing. So then might know and tap into the right people. I'll tap in with you I'll touch in with you after the meeting.
Sure.
Just to get something in the diary so we can actually set something going forward.
Judith,
But if
sorry,
anybody else,
Lee. Can I
Sorry,
just
go on.
ask you? Can I just ask Judith, what in other areas? What have you got that is focused around PCNs? I'm trying to
So
visualize.
they have a specific system web page. So in Lancashire, South Cumbria, they have a bespoke web page for all the primary care staff, and the same in Great Manchester.
So for all the PCNs can just link into that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was trimming
There's
going
definitely
along
not
thinking,
something
this
that.
is I'll just get Cheshire Merseyside, but yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
it's
there's definitely not in Cheshire and Merseyside. And who's led on the ones in Lancashire and Cumbria and Greater Manchester? Do you know?
So it's the well-being lead for the system primary care network, I suppose. They've got, yeah.
Not within the
That's what-
ICB. Like a primary care lead within.
Potentially. I've just given the, I've not even thought about where they come from. I've just been given the names and was able to get the information. But let me dig and I'll let you know.
All right, because it's obviously something that we need, and we know that primary care don't have access to all the information, so as to what is available. It'd be useful to see.
But you see,
What
Keely's
few
done the
months.
work that does show what is available. So that document is really, really good, but it's just getting that document on something that everyone can access.
See, a few months ago, I tried when the merger actually came into place from CCGs to the ICB. I tried tapping up people for updated list, contact list, that sort of stuff. Some people were happy to give contact information and contact details, and some people was very like arm's length. They'd only give me a snippet, and I'd have to go through this person to get through that person, and it was like knitting the fog at one point because no one wanted to share information. So I think that aspects for Greater Manchester will have something like that because they're a unitary authority, so everything's all tied into one funding stream with them. So trying to get it for us, it'll be really insightful because it's kind of like gold dust essentially. Boo linking in with such a body to have this or get this in play. Ben needs this, and so on and so on. It grows bigger, doesn't it? So if there's any help I can offer you there, Jude, let me know, because like I said, I've got a few contacts in the comms area, but not really many who might have fingers in pies.
Yeah, no, it's Christopher Lease that I've been in contact with, who's the interim associate director of primary care for Cheshire Merseyside, and he's passed me on to Jonathan Taylor, who is in comms.
Oh yeah, Jonathan Taylor.
But it seems like Yeah, but everything he sent me is for external, so it's, you know, every member of the public access. It's the internet page, not any intranet page.
Mm.
Yeah.
But they've only just updated the wellbeing section on the intranet for Cheshire and Merseyside, because at the start of the consultation there wasn't anything on it for any of the ICB staff, let alone for primary care. So I'm not sure how primary care staff link into the ICB, probably through the primary care lead. So is it whether we need to, well, it's probably a conversation again with Tara, who is going to be, and Chris Mosey,
Yeah.
who are heading up the sort of the workforce side of the ICB as well.
Yeah. No, I'll link in with her.
In-
That's true. And with you, Lee.
Brill. Boo, just a question for you. Do you
Mhm.
know who's replacing Jill Fazy? Is it going to be Tara,
Mhm.
or is it a new person starting in January?
No, it's Tara.
Okay, Brill. It'd be
Yeah,
really
she's
good to tap
she's
in with.
the OD. She's the OD of organisational development. But then there's Suzanne, is the kind of engagement and wellbeing lead.
Okay. I'll
But
link in with you after this meeting to get some contact details from you, because with what you're saying there, it's kind of like, oh, we could link into this, but it's pulling everything all into one place, isn't it? And
I
collecting
would
that
start with
information.
Tara because she's at the centre at the moment, and she'll probably be, I guess, if Suzanne's not starting until January, then she'll be sort of covering. And I think then Chris Moses sits at the top of that.
Triangle, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, well, thank you very much, everybody. Just to finish the meeting on a happy, well, a lighter note, if you would. I asked at the start of the meeting, what's been your happiest moment of the month? And we've had a few submissions from people. So I've not got names on it though. So someone's going to Morocco for a few days tomorrow. So whoever that is, have yourself a lovely, nice, relaxing time. Someone's been successful in getting some additional funding for staff health checks. So that's really good news. Well done. And then one here. Is that, I don't know, just someone to say something there. Sorry, I've got you off screen, so I'm reading off the other screen. And then we've got another happy moment is getting our waiting list down from 15 weeks to 1 week due to 2 long-awaited new starters. I shared this good news until with my team at our last meeting. So that's amazing, from 15 weeks to 1 week in terms of waiting list. So congratulations. Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to add? No. Okay. Lots of actions have come out of this. It's really good to see you all. Thank you very much for taking part. I know you're all busy. Lots of people I'm going to touch with it in after this meeting in terms of support, in terms of structures, and also some actions for the hub for the next meeting or 2 meetings as well. Thank you very much. In the meantime, if you do have any other queries, questions, burning desires, do let me know. And I'll see if I can help. And if not, I'll drag Jude in along with the ride, because Jude's my go-to as well. So thank you very much, everybody. Have yourself a lovely day and have a great weekend when it comes round.
You too. Nice one,
Thanks,
Lee.
Lee.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you. Take care,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
Cheers all. Thank
Bye.
you.
Lee, have you got a minute? Lee? Oh, is he gone? He's gone.